Listen closely, because what I am about to share with you is not just information, it is revelation. There is a reason the forces of darkness fight you the hardest in the area of your identity, your worth, your priorities. Because the moment you decide to value yourself, the moment you honor who you were created to be, every assignment against your life begins to collapse. You are not weak. You are not vulnerable. You are not confused unless you abandon yourself. So today, we are pulling back the curtain on the truth, the kind of truth that breaks chains, exposes lies, and empowers destiny. Get ready, because when you make yourself your priority, every hidden attack loses its grip. When you become your own priority, darkness loses its power, because the greatest battlefield is not around you, it is within you. And until you understand the weight of your own value, you will keep giving the enemy authority he was never meant to have. So hear me. The most dangerous person in any room is the one who finally understands who they are, why they exist, and what they carry. The moment you rise into that awareness, every shadow that tried to haunt you begins to tremble. Every force that tried to limit you begins to weaken, because darkness thrives only where identity is ignored. You see, too many people spend their lives fighting external battles, wrestling with rumors, witchcraft, jealousy, envy, evil wishes. Yet the true access point for every attack is internal neglect. When you stop prioritizing yourself, when you abandon the discipline of honoring your potential, you open a doorway you never intended to open. Why do you think the enemy studies you more than you study yourself? Why do you think spiritual attacks are always aimed at your confidence, your peace, your focus? Because the enemy knows that when a person becomes centered, aligned, grounded, their life becomes untouchable. But when you finally say, I am worth protecting, worth developing, worth loving, something shifts in the atmosphere. Your spirit straightens, your mind strengthens, your decisions sharpen, and suddenly the darkness that once intimidated you begins to scatter, because it cannot compete with a person who knows their purpose. Darkness cannot manipulate a person who understands their worth. And darkness cannot control a person who has chosen to elevate themselves to the position they were designed for. Listen closely. You cannot conquer anything around you until you conquer the habit of making yourself the last priority. For too long you have given everyone else access to your emotions, your time, your energy, while leaving yourself empty. For too long you have allowed others to withdraw from what you never intentionally deposited. But when you become your own priority, when you stop apologizing for investing in your growth, when you choose to protect your mental, emotional, and spiritual environment, the enemy's influence collapses. Because the truth is simple. Darkness cannot control what you guard. It can only influence what you neglect. And if you ever dared to fully invest in the person you are becoming, if you ever dared to embrace discipline, focus, rest, clarity, and purpose, you would rise to a level that no witch, no curse, no whisper, no scheme could touch. That is the secret they hope you never discover. That is the revelation they fear you will understand. And the moment you do, everything changes. You become unshakable. You become unstoppable. You become a force the enemy no longer knows how to handle. But this raises a deeper question, because if darkness loses its power when you prioritize yourself, then what happens when you begin to guard not just your value, but your identity? Let's go deeper. There is a hidden war for your identity, a war most people never recognize. Yet it shapes every decision, every fear, every doubt you've ever battled. And the reason this war is so intense is simple. Identity determines destiny. when you don't know who you are. The enemy is free to tell you who you are not. When you don't claim your identity, darkness assigns you one. And when you fail to guard your inner life, you begin to accept labels that were never written for you, spoken over you, or intended for you. Listen carefully. Your identity is not just a concept, it is a spiritual weapon. It is the foundation of your confidence, the anchor of your purpose, the birthplace of your authority. That is why the greatest attacks on your life didn't come against your finances, your relationships, or your opportunities. They came against your sense of self. Think about it. How many times has the enemy whispered, "You're not enough, you're unworthy, you can't do it, you're not capable"? And how many times have those lies sounded like your own voice? That is the strategy. If darkness can confuse your identity, it can control your behavior. If it can distort how you see yourself, it can influence how you respond to life. This is why you must guard your inner life first. Your inner world is the headquarters of your decisions, the sanctuary of your clarity, the fortress of your future. If the enemy gains ground there, everything else becomes vulnerable. But if you fortify that space, everything else becomes protected. And this is where so many people miss it. They try to fix the outer life without healing the inner life. They try to silence external attacks while ignoring internal wounds. They try to rebuke enemies they can see while embracing thoughts they should reject. The real battle is not out there. The real battle is who you believe yourself to be at the core of your being. Hear this. When you know who you are, no curse can attach itself to you. When you know who you are, no whisper of witchcraft can penetrate your confidence. When you know who you are, no opinion, no jealousy, no scheme, no sabotage can override the truth you carry. Identity is spiritual armor. Identity is divine protection. Identity is the shield that stops every arrow before it even reaches you. But the enemy hopes you never understand this. He hopes you stay distracted, insecure, uncertain, easily influenced. Because a person with no identity can be manipulated, controlled, and redirected at any moment. But a person who knows their identity, they become unpredictable, unshakable, unstoppable. And here's the powerful part. Identity is not built once. It must be guarded daily. Your inner life must be watched, nurtured, fed, protected, because the moment you stop guarding it, something else tries to occupy it. That is why clarity is not just important, it is essential. And this brings us to the next truth, because if your identity is the battlefield, then what happens when the enemy's target shifts from who you are to what you think? Let's step into that. Self-value is spiritual warfare. And most people have no idea. Yes, spiritual warfare is not just about curses, spells, or visible attacks. It is about the quiet battles that rage inside your mind, in your heart, in the choices you make every single day. And the first casualty of that war is almost always your sense of worth. If you do not recognize your own value, if you do not honor the gift that you are, the enemy gains a foothold. And once that foothold exists, it will manipulate, distract, and even destroy the destiny that was meant for you. Think about it. How often have you minimized yourself, allowed your potential to go unnoticed, tolerated situations that demean you, or apologized for simply being you? That is not humility. That is neglect. That is surrender. And when you surrender your self-value, you surrender your authority, your vision, your influence. Because the truth is simple. The universe, the spiritual realm, every force, both seen and unseen, responds to the person who knows their worth. When you embrace your value, doors open, opportunities multiply, and the enemy finds no access point. But here is the question. Why is self-value considered spiritual warfare? It is because every lie the enemy tells is aimed at undermining your belief in yourself. Every whisper of inadequacy, every feeling of unworthiness, every moment you compare yourself to others, it is a strategic attack. And most people, tragically, fight external battles while allowing internal defeat. They wage war against circumstances, against people, against situations, but the real war is inside. And it is there that the fight is won or lost. Now listen closely. Self-value is not arrogance. It is not selfishness. It is not pride. It is recognition of the divine design within you, the potential you were created to fulfill, the life you were meant to live. When you invest in yourself, when you honor yourself, when you refuse to let anyone or anything diminish your worth, you are not being selfish. You are being strategic. You are building armor. You are claiming territory that cannot be invaded. And here is what happens next. The moment you truly embrace your value, everything changes. Your decisions align with purpose. Your relationships reflect respect. Your energy attracts progress. The enemy who once whispered in your ear, "You're not enough," now has nothing to hold on to. Darkness flees the person who recognizes their own power, because self-value is a spiritual weapon, sharper than any sword, stronger than any force that tries to intimidate or control you. But the challenge is real, because knowing your value is not a one-time declaration. It is a daily commitment. Every day, you must remind yourself of who you are, what you are capable of, and the destiny you carry. If you fail to do this, the enemy will subtly creep back, trying to reclaim the ground that belongs to you. And this leads to a deeper truth, because if self-value is the weapon, then what is the strategy for using it to disarm every assignment the enemy sends against your mind, your emotions, your life? Let's uncover that next. The enemy fears a focused you. Yes, a person who knows their purpose, understands their priorities, and is fully aligned with their destiny. Because focus is power. Focus is clarity. Focus is authority. And when you are focused, when you direct your energy, your thoughts, and your actions toward your vision, nothing can stand against you. The reason darkness trembles at focus is simple. A distracted mind is vulnerable, a scattered spirit is weak, but a concentrated soul is untouchable. Think about it. How many times have you felt overwhelmed by life, confused by choices, attacked by circumstances? It is not random. It is because your energy was divided, your attention fragmented, your vision unclear. Every distraction, every diversion, every unexpected problem, it is designed to pull you away from your focus. And the moment you lose focus, the enemy gains access. That is why the world will conspire to scatter you. That is why negativity, chaos, and opposition seem to appear just when you are about to rise. But here's the truth. Focus is not just about productivity. It is spiritual discipline. It is the ability to guard your time, your energy, your attention from forces that want to see you delayed, defeated, diminished. When you focus, you declare, "I will not be moved. I will not be shaken. I will not be distracted from my purpose." And in that declaration, something supernatural happens. You begin to align with your destiny. You begin to see doors open that were hidden. You begin to attract resources, connections, and clarity that were previously invisible. Yet many people miss this. They think focus is simply about working harder, about being busy, about pushing through fatigue. That is not focus. True focus is intentional. It is deliberate. It is understanding that your mind is a battlefield. And the moment you allow scattered thoughts to rule you. The enemy controls the terrain. Focus is a shield. Focus is a weapon. Focus is the spiritual equivalent of saying, no assignment, no whisper, no scheme will derail me from the plan I was created to fulfill. And the consequences of focus or lack of it are clear. A person without focus will wander, will compromise, will accept mediocrity, and will endlessly replay the same battles without victory. A person with focus, they become unstoppable. They rise above confusion, above manipulation, above fear. They navigate life with precision. They execute vision with excellence. And the enemy, they do not know how to handle it, because no attack can land when your mind is fully aligned, fully concentrated, fully committed. But here is where most people fail, because focus is not permanent. It requires daily reinforcement. It requires discipline. It requires saying no to the distractions that feel good but steal your future. It requires protecting your mind, your time, your energy, as though they are sacred, and they are. And that brings us to the deeper truth. Because if focus is the weapon that disarms the enemy's attempts to derail you, then what is the next level of protection, the next layer of armor that ensures every attack is neutralized before it even begins? Let's uncover that next. You are the gatekeeper, yes, the gatekeeper of your own life. And this truth is more powerful than most people realize. Every attack, every assignment, every negative influence that comes your way, its access point is through the gate of your mind, your heart, your decisions. If you do not stand at that gate, if you do not recognize your authority, if you do not guard it with vigilance, the enemy will walk right in. And once inside, even the strongest defenses outside cannot protect what has already been surrendered from within. Think about it. How many times have you allowed thoughts, emotions, or influences that were not yours to occupy your mind? How many times have doubts, fears, or whispers of negativity crossed your threshold unchecked? That is the danger of leaving the gate unguarded. That is why spiritual attacks are so effective against those who are unaware. Darkness cannot penetrate a person who stands firm at the gate of their own life, but it thrives in the hearts of those who relinquish control over their inner world. Being the gatekeeper means more than just awareness. It means active responsibility. It means saying, I will not allow what does not belong to me to enter my life. I will not entertain thoughts that destroy. I will not consent to words, behaviors, or influences that diminish my purpose. When you take this stance, when you claim your position at the gate, a shift occurs. Doors that were previously open to attack begin to close. Whispers of confusion fade. And the enemy, who once had access, suddenly finds the walls impenetrable. But let's be clear, guarding your gate is not passive. It is not a one-time declaration. It is a lifestyle. Every day, every decision, every encounter is an opportunity to either allow entry or enforce protection. And this is why so many people struggle, because they treat the gate as if it is automatic, as if the walls protect themselves. They neglect the simple truth: authority must be exercised, vigilance must be maintained, discipline must be applied. And here is what happens when you truly embrace this principle. You begin to notice the patterns, the assignments, the subtle schemes that were invisible before. You recognize distractions for what they are. You intercept negative influences before they take root. You enforce boundaries that are non-negotiable. You become untouchable not because you are invincible, but because you refuse to surrender access. Yet, most people never reach this level of mastery because it requires courage. It requires self-awareness. It requires a willingness to confront the uncomfortable truths about the way life has tried to manipulate them. But the moment you step into this authority, the moment you say, I am the gatekeeper of my own life, everything changes. The enemy recoils, darkness loses ground, and the stage is set for victory. But there is a greater question that follows, because if being the gatekeeper protects the life you live, then what is the key to protecting the purpose you were born to fulfill before it is ever threatened? Let's reveal that next. Protecting your purpose is the ultimate act of self-priority, because your purpose is the blueprint of your life, the assignment that cannot be completed by anyone else, the destiny that was written before you were born. And yet, too many people treat their purpose like an option, like a hobby, like something that can wait. But hear me, every delay, every compromise, every distraction against your purpose is a battle, a spiritual assignment, a force trying to pull you off course. Darkness does not wait for the distracted. It strikes where vision is weak, where focus is lost, where self-value is abandoned. You see, purpose is fragile in the hands of the inattentive. It requires care, discipline, and protection. If you do not guard your purpose, if you do not honor it with your time, your energy, your decisions, it will be stolen, misdirected, or destroyed. Every moment you allow doubt, fear, or the opinions of others to take precedence over your calling, you give the enemy an opening. And openings, no matter how small, can grow into doors through which delay, confusion, and failure enter. But when you protect your purpose, you create a fortress around your life, a place where vision thrives, where destiny flourishes, and where no assignment of darkness can penetrate. Think about it. How often have you compromised your dreams to please someone else? How often have you silenced your calling to avoid criticism or conflict? That is exactly what they want. They want you to undervalue your purpose, to think it is optional, to make it secondary. But the truth is this: your purpose is sacred, your purpose is unique, and no one else can fulfill it. Every compromise is a theft from your own life. Every delay is a deception you must recognize. And here is the secret. Protecting your purpose is not just about defense, it is about action. It is about stepping boldly into your calling, even when it is uncomfortable, even when it challenges people around you, even when the world questions you. Purpose grows when it is pursued. It thrives when it is prioritized. And it multiplies when it is protected from distractions that have no right to consume your life. Yet, most people never understand this. They think living purposefully is about luck, timing, or opportunity. No. Living purposefully is about strategy. It is about discipline. It is about saying no to everything that hinders you and saying yes to everything that aligns with your destiny. It is about becoming so, intentional with your life, that every moment serves your vision, every decision protects your calling, and every action builds the legacy that only you can leave. And now, hear me clearly. The moment you protect your purpose, everything changes. Your life gains clarity. Your focus intensifies. Your value skyrockets. Darkness loses its power. The distractions that once dominated your mind no longer have access. And the destiny that was always yours begins to unfold exactly as it was designed. So rise up, stand firm, guard your life, prioritize your mind, protect your heart, honor your value, and unleash the purpose that no force can stop.